Howdy, howdy, everybody out there in YouTube land. Welcome back to my digital slice of the grand land of Olean. So we do have a short chapter today, so let's go ahead and get through it. Chapter 11, Sound and Lighting. For me, the biggest mystery in my beloved craft has nothing to do with slights, mirrors, or gaps. Instead, I scratch my head over the unfathomable lack of interest displayed by so many performers regarding the sound and lighting of their shows. After all, what is your show? They see you, they hear you. There is nothing else! Exclamation point! Smell, touch, and taste rarely make an appearance. Your show is sight and sound. The audience cannot hear your words clearly if they cannot see your hands, your facial expressions, your volunteers, and your props. All your cleverness and hours of practice count for naught. Why, then, do so many performers in our field, including some top professionals, exclamation point, fail to focus on these critical issues? I don't have an answer, but you are not going to fall into that same trap. You've activated my trap card. Reference. Proper sound and lighting are not difficult once you begin to make them a priority. The early bird gets the light and sound. Arrive at your venue early. That's not a suggestion, that's a rule. Diligently plan, set up, and test the sound and lights. Get to know the tech folks. Make them your friends and allies. Always introduce yourself with a warm smile and handshake to anyone whose expertise and keychain could serve your needs. Yes. When performing at a banquet, you also want to befriend the maitre d' or head waiter. That person can help with the overhead lights if there's no one else around, and can also ensure that tables are cleared and wait staff have exited the room before you make your appearance. Entrance is the word that he uses, but appearance works just fine. This is just one more reason why you want to get to the venue early. The performance area is where an entertainer earns his income, be it monetary or simply ego gratification. When I am setting the stage for my performance and encounter a bit of resistance from some techie, MC, or anyone else, I explain, always with a smile. This is my office. This is where I work. It has to be perfect for me, comfortable and practical for the intended purpose. You may receive guileless assurances from techies that everything is just fine. Well, to use a phrase from the Cold War, trust but verify. Banquet rooms. Here's a typical scenario faced by corporate performers. The organizers put the stage area, usually a few connected risers, in the center of what had been two separate rooms, with the divided walls opened up to make one larger space, and that often creates a problem. Each original room had its own lighting configuration, usually including several chandeliers, but those chandeliers, which are usually controlled with dimmers, are centered for each original room, meaning when the dividing walls are opened so that two rooms become one, the space that had been where those walls had been is the darkest spot of the room, and that's where the stage is invariably set. Exclamation point. I see this with unnerving frequency. The audience is well lit and the performer is forced to stand in the shadow. Exclamation point. Why, my fellow performers, do you allow this to happen? This is just one more reason why it is so imperative that you get to the venue early. Doing so at least gives you a chance to alleviate this problem before it's too late. As soon as you realize the problems, you're going to make every effort to get things rearranged in a way that best suits your needs. Explain politely, firmly, and calmly that it's very much a win-win situation. When I look good, we all look good. Careful before the show preparation pays off, and after the show, congratulations. Don't back down. Once you walk out there, it's your butt on the line, not theirs. Later in this section, you'll read an anecdote about what can happen if you fail to follow the advice to take sound and lighting seriously. That's chapter 11. And we're only 5 minutes into this thing. So what else are we going to do today? Let's go ahead and use some extra time. We're going to have a shorter video today to take a look at what's happening next. So chapter 12 is sound. And then chapter 13 is music. And then chapter 14 is lighting. So we're really getting into some really interesting features here. And then we got David Copperfield for the highlight. Yeah, and that's going to be that section 5. Then we're getting into the performance section, talking about close-up magic, talking about mentalism, and then just so on and so forth. I mean, we've got a good headway into this. And so we're going to do chapter 13 tomorrow. Or is it 12? I've forgotten already. Yeah, chapter 12 is going to be sound tomorrow. And we're going to focus on that individually, separately from there. Now, what else do I want to do for you today? A little bit of magic for you that we're working on. We're going to do some magic theory here. Just because we can, right? And so we'll tip this down so you can kind of see what's going on. I'm really in love with this deck, the pink deck. It's an elite deck, premium deck from Bicycle. Now, I do have extra cards in this deck that I think are really fun. I keep the 4 jacks at the bottom because that's the setup for my trick. Now, this is my go-to effect, right? Because ambitious card is great, but if I'm doing a 4-card production, then what I'm going to want to do is produce 4 cards, right? So here's how I might start something like that. Cut the deck somewhere in the center. Then we're going to have to mix up the cards. You got your twists and turns and your oohs and ahs, and of course the ups and downs of mystery. Or however I say that. And everything culminates in the center. And that's when you see the 4 acrobatic jacks. Ha-cha. We have 2 red jacks, and 2 black jacks. That's going to be 4 cards altogether. And the game kind of works like this. So 2 of the jacks tumble to the table. 2 of the jacks stay in the hand. You saw 2 red jacks go to the table, but of course they've tumbled back to the hand, leaving you with the 2 black jacks. It's a great way to start. Let's see if we can get even more impressive from there. Red jack in the center. Black jack will go to the top. A little bit of magic. And of course, the blackjack is now in the center. The red jack is now on the outside. Let's make it a little bit more impressive by going all the way through the deck. The entire deck, not just halfway. Ooh, la, 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 la. Magic words and all that. And now the jacks have met in the center. We're building up to the grand finale, where we will have the 2 red jacks on the outside. The 2 black jacks will go into the center. Just they do the tumbling, they do their moves, you know, just imagine the circus. And now the black jacks are on the outside and the red jacks are in the center. Watch out. Now, of course, like any great trick, we will end where we began with the 4 performers returning to the stage, and that is the 4 acrobatic jacks. Glorious. Now that's a 4-card production. You can do that with any cards. I love the acrobatic jacks. Now if we were going to do this a little bit differently, we would do something like this, where we go into a little bit of a different effect where we have you select a card at random. The 8 of diamonds seems good enough for me. We shall lose that into the pack. And then I will find your card using my powers of observation. You know what? Let's try this a different way. Let's see. If we were looking at them like this, we would... Let's look at them like this. The backs of the cards, right? We're going to use our powers of observation. But I definitely think that looking at them like this would be easier, right? Looking at the faces. Yeah. Yeah, you're looking at the face. That's your card. That's forwards. That's a good place to go, but that's kind of a weak way to do that. What I actually enjoy is, out of everything, is this. I love the blank deck. Yeah, I love using a blank deck. That's really when you know you've got some good stuff happening for you. For instance, you could take any card in the deck that you want. We'll cut to a random card here, and it's going to be the blank card, right? Because it's a blank deck. You got it. You got it. Blank deck. Perfect. Now, of course, if you take the deck over here and you take the jacks that are already printed and you just do a magic gesture, now all the cards are back, which is nice too. Now, what if we go into a really nice move like this? I like this. So we take our blank card, reintroduce it back into the pack. Now, we'll show you that the cards are back. But remember, we left the blank card in the center, right? Yeah, we put the blank card in the center. That's your blank card right there. Now, if we take a card, we'll take your blank card and put it on the table. Missed our timing again, but we're still working on it. So if we have a blank card on the table, and we have your 3 of spades here, I take the 3 of spades and I switch it with the one on the table, then that should give us the blank card. A little bit of sound misdirection for you here. Because, of course, you remember that the 3 of spades is on top of the deck. So all that, switch it around. Great. Wowzers. So there's ambitious card, there's turnover card, there's a 4-ace production, and we could just go on. So the thing with cards that I love is I can do a pretty good set, especially with this deck, because it has a blank card, which is my favorite card, and then it has a double backer, which is a great card. The only thing this deck doesn't have that I think would elevate it to the next level for me is maybe a Chicago opener card, which I thought I had at one point. Maybe I took it out. But it's a beautiful deck of cards. The pink bicycle cards. And here's my setup for that, right? So, blank card on the bottom. Double backer on top. 4 jacks on the bottom. Now, out of all of those, the ambitious card is definitely a routine that can go on and on and on. The 4 jack production is probably the stronger effect, but that's something that we can think about as we move forward if we're going to put together a routine. And what it does is it changes up the texture and all of that. But considering the fact that the jacks are a set up, it's a setup trick. So if I were to do the other tricks first, then there's a chance that this gets out of order. It's a chance that you see it, all of that. So if I produce these first, which, going through the motions of it, my understanding of how these work, you kind of want to control the top card and the bottom packet is how you kind of want to handle that. So when you do your secret moves, keeping everything kosher, I think the problem with all of that is that this card is not going to be the double backer anymore. But the blank card should still be next to the 4 jacks here. So your setup is still good for that if you handle it properly. The double backer is over here. So fanning through the cards with the double backer towards the bottom, not a great look. You want that towards the top. So if I were, normally what I do is I cut the pack before spreading, and that puts the jacks closer to the middle, which is better. Understanding that the next card here, if you separate them like this, that is a joker. So that's still not the double backer that we want, but your blank face card is still good there. So now, I think that you could potentially do your trick with these, and you're solid, as long as you end with that. Well, even as you're doing this trick, you're going to do a couple of moves where you're going to be cycling through the cards. So this would be a great time to just make a break where you, maybe we interject another trick, which is a good one for some spectator involvement, where you have them shuffle the cards, and then you're going to pick out a couple of cards. So we're going to go with this one, go with this one, go with this one. You know what? We only need, yeah, we're only going to need two of these. So why don't we go with this one and this one? Okay, that should be fine. And then we'll just leave the rest here like that. And now what I've done is I've, under the guise of selecting out predictions, I put this on the top and the bottom, which I've just realized is not going to work for this trick, so that's why we work our way through this magic theory. Now, what if I were to position it here and here? Would it work? Probably not, because they're going to get reversed. So what if... No, I think that could work, because as you're dealing through the cards for this trick, you're going to want to put your first card here like this. Do it again. Put the next card here like this. And then give the cards a cut. And now at this point, things are going to be mixed up again. But this is going to be your blank face card here. Just remember what is what. Then your double backers here. So from here, you would just stack this up like this, pretend like you missed the card, and then put that off to the side. And now you've got a stack. So you're one ahead here. You're golden for the next setup. And then you do the reveal that these are matching. And so now you've got another set of pairs here that you've really created. Sometimes what I'll do is I won't do the acrobatic jacks. I will do this trick first, and then I will perform the same routine with the 4 cards that we found together, which is pretty strong in and of itself. Now, if I want to do a 4-card production, it's a great way to do it. And what I'll end with, potentially, if I wanted to go for an even bigger finale, is this. So, turning over all the jacks except for the last one. This one's a nice one over here. He's the the friend that holds us together. As we take these 3 cards here into the pack, he shall summon them all back one at a time. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3, and of course there's 4 acrobatic jacks. So this is similar to the cops and robbers trick with the jacks, which is kind of where we've elevated from. So you could do all of that. You can have a good time with it. The other way that I like to handle that is that you do the same thing as what we just did, where you take and you get rid of all the jacks except for 1. And now this is your locator card. This is how you know what card you want to find, because you potentially are going to lose the jacks into the deck. But don't worry, you have your locator card, so it's going to help you find the cards. First one is going to be right there. Beep, 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 beep. Yeah, we found it. Oh, that's a joke. Sorry about that. There it is. We found it. Okay. Now, did we mess that up? No, we're still solid. We're set up. Basically, instead of doing all 3 at once, you do things in a different way, where maybe this time, instead of, you do a different type of cut. You found the next one, and then for the last one, you don't have to really do anything. You could potentially just... Now they're watching the top card. Nothing is changing. Nothing is doing anything. And the last card has appeared. Now, for even more fun and exciting things here, you could potentially, since that one's in, maybe you actually lose that one when you do that. You only do 3. You do 2 in the deck, but they're controlled to the top. 1 goes in the deck, and then when you show the next card, you're like, you know what? I think we made a little bit of a mistake here, and would that work? Yeah, actually that would work if you get real deep here. The idea is to potentially do a slop deck shuffle here to show that the cards are pretty well mixed up. And then now here's what really gets interesting, because make sure that you've controlled this, the blank face card to the bottom, and then you're going to want to show this. But be real careful, because then you'll flash that. So ideally, if you could do it really well, you would maintain that, and then potentially, that is the double backer. So, but that could work for you. It really could, because they're not going to know where it is in the spread. You've got your card backwards, and then potentially it's a win-win unless they're like right next to each other. Theoretically, what if that card is on top and you've done a double lift? So now it's still on top after you've done all this. You do your spread and you show that there's a backwards card. Yeah, that's pretty cool, right? Backwards card. And then maybe you go through the cards and you just grab a random card. Seems pretty fair, right? Get a break under the top card. Yeah. And then maybe you could do a switch, or they can see the blank card on the bottom, so they know that that's the case. They're not going to see anything else because they're assuming that the deck is blank. They can see their card in the center, and under the guise of just saying, we could just take it out, but that's too easy. What we're going to do is we're going to magically make it jump to the top. Did you see that? Did you see it jump to the top? And there it is. Boom. Now, if you do this differently, you could get away with it doing it like this. All of these are great ideas. So, and that's kind of what we're working with here. What you want is you want the double backer to be in a good position for the spread so that they can clearly see it here without flashing anything else. They clearly see it in the spread. When you turn it down, just pop that out a little bit. So now all you're doing, and you don't even have to do any fancy moves because it's all done for you. They saw that it's backwards, and now you're going to make it jump to the top. Ready? 1, 2, 3. See it jump to the top? Boom. There it is. I think that's enough magic theory for today. We haven't really done this in quite a while. I love just kind of just going into this. Would be nice as a live. These are fun just to talk about these magic ideas. The creative juices are flowing. So thank you, everybody, and remember, stay positive, stay active, and stay awesome. We'll see you tomorrow for chapter number 12. Don't forget to subscribe. It really does help out the channel. And, of course, watch that video that's just for you. Yep, just for you. Ta-da!